Those -2 amendments, which I believe Representative Johnson is going to describe to us.
Thank you very much. Representative Johnson, Senator Haas, please.
Thank you.
Nice. Mr. Chair and committee members, great to see you. Thanks for hearing us today. For the record, Mark Johnson from House District 52. This bill is, again, about, we had an informational hearing in January about this bill, but it's really about the Oregon Promise, and I've kind of rebranded it the Oregon Promise Student Success Initiative because I think that's really what it's all about. But as you'll recall, the Oregon Promise passed in the last session to extend last dollar tuition waivers to community college, to high school graduates who meet the criteria, who go on to community college or career schools and so forth. The interest has been incredibly high. Thousands of students have applied for the Oregon Promise tuition waiver. But you'll also recall, as I mentioned in our hearing in January, that the Secretary of State's report regarding student completion at our colleges last spring was less than flattering. We know that we've got some work to do regarding putting in place proper mechanisms so that students can be served, not just so that they can attend college, but so they can actually get to completion and so forth. So you'll also recall that Senate Bill 418 was passed in the last session and has in it about $6.8 million that Section 1 of Senate Bill 418 expressly spells out that some of these resources should be considered for how we can help Oregon Promise students be successful students. House Bill 4076, and specifically the -2 amendments, which is the bill, is in direct response to that legislative intent, and it presents a structured framework for investing in student supports. Now, you'll recall then we had a great informational hearing regarding the AVID program, specifically AVID for higher ed, and their success in measurable outcomes across the country, and specifically here in Oregon at Mount Hood Community College. And the college president is here today to speak about that. But the plan in House Bill 4076 is to ensure that all community colleges are able to implement student success initiatives similar to AVID, not the mandate AVID, but similar to AVID, in order to help standardize the wraparound services in reaching all students. This will help align the academic system across the state, ensuring Oregon Promise students are successful as well as others in the system. And in talking with a variety of college presidents, community college presidents, about our legislative concept, one college president characterized the current system as a patchwork. Not badly intended, but just the reality is that we have 17 colleges and they approach this from different frameworks, and he saw great value in having alignment of efforts. Since he last spoke with you, the language has been reviewed and approved by the Community College Presidents Council. They've also presented to the Student Success Oversight Committee just a week ago, and have received positive and constructive feedback from this group, as well as Oregon Community College Association has endorsed our language, and the intent of the bill is clear. So let me just briefly walk through a one-pager just so you understand exactly what's in, and I think this is in front of you, I believe. So the Oregon Promise Success Initiative adds a requirement for Oregon Promise students to complete a first-year experience to remain eligible for the tuition waiver. First-year experience will be designed and approved at the college level. Each college will have a chance to put their own brand on what that looks like. Community colleges will be responsible for notifying the HEC if a student did not complete this requirement. It reappropriates $2.5 million, again, out of that already approved, legislatively approved $6.8 million, for targeted support services at Oregon Community Colleges to implement student success and completion programs to support Oregon Promise recipients. The HEC will distribute money to the colleges. That's the transaction pathway. Community colleges will submit a request for funds to the HEC, and the request will be reviewed based on these components: demonstrated proof of the program increasing student success and completion, inclusion of both faculty and development student supports. Again, colleges don't have to reinvent the wheel here. If they have something on their campuses that's working well, they can use these resources to backfill, to support what they're doing. Specifically, we know PCC has a great program in place, student success and so forth. So this isn't to take that place. They can build with this or use this to fill in gaps that they may have in their student support programs. The language intended to be a targeted investment in student supports to increase completion at community colleges. Again, it's not just about attendance, but it's about completion. Colleges can choose whether to apply for funding. In order to receive money, colleges will have to meet certain requirements that align with the transition from access to access and completion, and are demonstrated in programs such as Avid for Higher Ed. The $2.5 million figure is based off of Avid for Higher Ed costs if implemented at full capacity at 20 community college campuses. And I think we showed you that 4-year build-out at the January hearing. So we know it can be done for this price tag. That's the important point there. The bill does not require the use of Avid Higher Ed, but Avid Higher Ed elements are the framework for this legislation because of their proven success in closing the achievement gap, increasing student completion, and complementing existing structures at higher education campuses. It's the intent of this legislation to have a relatively equitable distribution of the funds to the community colleges as proposals are brought to the HEC. So, colleagues, this is, in my opinion, it's a very needful action. It's a very minor fiscal utilization of the money, but I think for that targeted investment, we can have a huge return on investment that will ensure not only that Oregon Promise students will become successful, but through their success, I think these components can be benefited by all students on our college campuses. So with that, I will pass it over to my good friend and colleague, Senator Hass.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Hass, please.
Thank you. Mark Hass, Senate District 14. Thank you for considering this bill today. I echo all of that, and I won't be redundant in the information. The success of the Oregon Promise, I think, is critically dependent on this piece of it. If all we did was offer free tuition, I'm not sure it would work, because there is so much navigation for young people to get through the process, and there is nothing more expensive or counterproductive than someone who is enrolled in one of our community colleges without a plan. It's counterproductive for the school, it's counterproductive for that student and their family, and it's expensive. This is the piece that helps them figure out what the plan is, and the key, I've always said, to college is to get someone in and out with a completion. And as a parent of a college-bound teenager, I can tell you, it's just, life is full of deadlines. You know, have you got your thing sent off by May? Did you call Mr. Johnson by Friday? It's just constant. And I know that a lot of young people, hard to get all of these things straight, keep it on their radar, especially from kids that we're trying to help go through. Many of them are at risk and wouldn't even think about going to college were it not for the Oregon Promise. These are the kids we've got to sort of hold hands with and get them through to make it the most efficient expenditure that we possibly can, and this is a critical part of that. So thank you.
Thank you. Questions for Representative